The Legend of Aang, coming to theaters October 2020.
So that was a fucking lie.
I've been a fan of Avatar since it first came out. I vaguely remember the marketing leading up to the release of the show. I remember cracking up at Sokka vs. Zuko in that pilot episode. I remember straight up thinking that the show ended with Aang dying at the end of book 2. And I remember the hype when Aang finally defeated Ozai. And now,
Team Avatar is back!
With Avatar Aang, The Last Airbender. And this is my review. With me being such a big fan of the show, take it with a grain of salt, but I did do my best not to get caught up in the nostalgia of it, but I'd be remiss to not mention how much and how long I have loved this show. And I love this movie. I've been thinking about it ever since I first saw it, which was when it was officially released. First off, as the title suggests, this is Aang's movie. Seems obvious since he was their main character in the original show, but who have you met that said that Aang was their favorite character? When I say that this was Aang's movie, I mean that this guy shines. Not since Zahir have you seen an Airbender be so badass. And a lot of that comes from the budget, which is one of the film's biggest strengths. The art and animation was always good in Avatar, but it's been 20 years since the show was released, and the technology, money, and love for this franchise has only grown, allowing for a spectacle that's on par with Sakuga from today's modern anime. And also the storyboarding. We get some beautiful shots in this film that just wasn't possible back in my day. The budget given to the animation just allows for more character acting and more creative fight scenes and styles. It really uplifts the story. And that's not all that's changed. I know there's some pushback at the fact that they switched out the voice actors for this film. I never really cared about this because the characters have grown, not all of the actors are still voice acting, and there's no guarantee that the voices still fit the older characters. We don't want a repeat of General Iroh. But I thought that the voice cast did an amazing job, and there were parts of this movie where I forgot that it was a new cast. Specifically from Aang, even though he's in his 20s in this film, there were line deliveries that were so believable as a grown-up version of that boy in the iceberg. Speaking of voices, Dave Bautista plays the new addition, Taga, and he's both the weakest and the strongest link in this cast. Maybe it's because he's too recognizable to me as Drax, but when he was doing normal dialogue, he takes me out of the film. However, when aggression and physicality is required, this dude's performance made me astral project into the story. Also, as someone who appreciates the lore, we got a lot of information about the world of Avatar, like some new characters in the Avatar cycle, some cool bending techniques and style, and literally more of the world. You really got to keep your eyes open when watching this film. The amount of Easter eggs in this makes me do the Will Smith meme in every single frame. So much so that I might make a video breaking down all the cool stuff that can be found in this film. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't a completely important and necessary story that you have to watch to be able to understand the overall timeline of Avatar. But it is good to see our characters again in their prime, and recontextualizes a little bit of the stuff that we see in Korra. And raises a few more questions about the lives of these characters that we love so much. Now, the highs were so high that the downsides didn't really bother me. But with that being said, there are downsides. As I said before, Aang shines in this film. But unfortunately, this is to the detriment of the rest of the gang. Katara is fine, but Toph, Zuko, and Sokka are borderline flanderized. Sokka is reduced to comic relief. Zuko is an emotionally constipated drag, and Toph is horny, I guess? I don't know. It helps that we see a lot of these characters later in life, so we know that their journeys aren't ruined or over, but it would be nice to see some growth since we last saw them. But this is a weakness in the way that the MCU, back when it was really good, had really weak villains. It's a necessary sacrifice with the limited amount of time we had to uplift the hero. And the hero of the story, Aang, once again, is the best part. Would have been nice if we got both, though. So, I said that Katara and Aang are fine, and Zuko, Toph, and Sokka are meh. Appa and Momo are here too. Notice anyone missing? Yeah, Suki is straight up not mentioned in this movie. If you have a habit of blinking while watching films, it'll be like she never existed. And that's probably the biggest thing holding this movie back, is all the stuff that's really not in the film. If you're here to get concrete answers about, like, who Suyin's father is, who Zuko ended up marrying, or Aang's reaction when he found out Katara was pregnant with Kaya, or how the hell Zuko got that dragon, you're not gonna get that in this movie. Another thing I didn't love is in Avatar tradition, this movie is not above a Deus Ex Machina or two in the third act. There's one in particular that is just straight up bonkers and a little too much even for this franchise. There's also a flaw that doesn't bother me too much, that the villains of this film were underutilized and felt like they were just the Chitauri at the end of the Avengers, but once you watch the film, you kind of get why they played that role. But I really don't care. I'm just happy to see these characters again, and a lot of my problems with it can be fixed by just seeing more of them. Which is probably not going to happen because I swear the creators broke like 12 mirrors and walked under 100 ladders while making the show. Here's hoping. Thank you all for watching. If you hadn't guessed this already, this is my very first YouTube video, but I had a good time, so feel free to stick around. I'll be doing breakdowns, theories, and reviews about all things Avatar The Last Airbender. But remember, I'm the Bluer Spirit, and you're not. Until next time.